Welcome back to the Ollie Skelton show that everybody rates. The acronym for that is TOSSA, and you are listening to the TOSSA podcast. How was your week? Anything big happen? You get up to much? You have 72 articles from across the nation written about you? No, yep. Obviously, look, I'm sure we've got some newcomers here. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, wow. What a couple of few days it has been for me. I'm a little bit sick. I don't know if that's just the pressure, the stress, which there is a little bit. You know, I think just like there's a foundation of what people know you as, and 50% of that is withdrawn in a single post. I think that it's something that is just, it's pretty full on. And one thing that I would like to do is thank everybody for the overwhelming support. And like, people say that and they just say it just to tick a bloody box. But I'm being sincere when I say all the messages, I've read so much of them. And for people to be able to see it from the perspective that Tahnee and I both shared, and that good things can come to an end. And whilst there is good in everything, it can also be bad. And I think what's important is to take the learnings from that and grow as an individual into your next relationship. And that sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook from some Matthew Hussey video. But I do think it's important to take learnings, and you either win or you learn. That's John Kavanagh. Shout out to that man. What if he's a maths fan? But no, like, I think the truth of it is, honestly, I think we fell out of love. I think that there is a multitude of factors that contribute to that. But I'll set the scene. We're on this show for 4 months, and we're getting told where to go and how to do it. But we're living together. We're spending every night together. And Tahnee and I couldn't get enough of each other. All we wanted to do was spend all our time with each other. We were having so much fun in the Sky Suites apartment. Chaos was erupting around us. I felt like we were in like a little force field that was impregnable. But then you leave, right? You get out of the experiment. And you're like, okay, we've lived together for 4 months. I feel like it makes total sense that we would move into a space together. And I said goodbye to my friends and goodbye to my family, and said, you know what, stuff it. If we're going to do it, let's give it a punt. And, you know, we're starting this new life together. We've got to decide what furniture we want. We've got to decide what we're doing, what our schedule is, which was decided for us by somebody else prior to that. And then whilst this is going on, so I've got this completely new job as the show is starting. Can you imagine that? Starting a new job literally the same time that is going on. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. My anxiety was off the wall. So you got that, you got a new work, you got a new social life, you're living in a new house, a new space, and then you've also got your relationship, which you are having to nourish, which is also new in the outside world because it is such a jump. It is such a jump. And, you know, I talk about advice to the future cast because, you know, they're about to kick off. And if any of you guys are still together, I'm a big believer in therapy, and I'm a big believer in that if you train your body, you should be able to train your mind. Because I think we see in life a lot of people that train their body and do not train their mind. It shows. But my advice for the new cast, if you guys really do want to make it work and you want to put in the yards, I would say before the show airs, like start getting your ducks in a row, and maybe speaking to someone, maybe speaking to a third party, because it's what you're going to be going through is so intense. It's so intense. And I think a character trait that I have is I'm always pretty much like cross the bridge when it comes reactive rather than proactive in planning ahead. And so I was just like, we're just going to do it. And yeah, I feel like we had such a great experience on the show. I think it's going to be a smooth transition. But once again, all we had to do during that time in Sky Suites was just focus on each other. And we were loving it. it's why you see relationships flourish and relationships crumble so severely and in such a concentrated time on that show. You got to think you don't have a job. I just think it was something that we really, really struggled to adapt to. And I mean, who do you go to? But something I thought I would share is I'd really like to share like some of the key like happy memories that Tahnee and I shared together. There's a couple of things, right? So the first thing is I remember touching Tahnee on the waist for the first time when we did the kiss, and I was like, oh shit. I felt a little, like it felt like there was like a little energy. It was like a little, I don't know. Do you ever get that? And then I remember, dude, like Fiji was so dope. How good, like our honeymoon, quote unquote, it kind of felt a bit dreamy. And that's kind of what was being conveyed. And that's why I always think, like, I'm like, yeah, dude, that's how I, like, what they're painting is what I experienced with Tahnee. I remember getting on the plane, and I remember being on the plane and sitting right next to Tahnee, and I was like, shit. I was like, fuck, I think I like this girl, and it's been like 5 days. But it hadn't, right? It hadn't. It'd been like 5 weeks. Because you got to think about it when we were spending every day together. Well, when you were first meeting someone and you were first dating them, how long are you seeing them for? 10 hours a week? We did that on the wedding day. God, it was exhausting. Thank you to my family and friends for sticking through that. But yeah, so then I remember just sitting there and being like, oh my God, fuck, I actually think I like this girl. And being terrified of making small talk, not wanting to stuff it up, not wanting her to get the ick off me. So yeah, those are like, I look back at that really fondly. I look back at, like, there was this time, right? So in 1 month's time a year ago, Tahnee came to Perth I wanted to show her Perth so bad, because we didn't do that on the homestays or whatever. I really wanted to show her Perth. And I just remember we would do this thing every day in Perth because it was so hot. Oh my God, it was so hot. And it's so hot right now. I'm in Perth. I'm seeing my family and friends. And I can't have the aircon on in this room, can I? Because it's going to be going zzz. I remember, like, we would just nap. We would have like 3 p.m. naps, but we didn't want to go up into the bedroom because it was so hot. And I had a gnarly air conditioning in my bottom floor of my townhouse. So we would like make a little bed fort and just lie down for hours. And I just remember saying to my mates and saying to everyone, like, saying, damn, like, I reckon I could potentially be with this girl forever. I'm a commitment phobe. So that was uncharted territory for me. But then, yeah, there was so many factors when I got to Sydney, and, you know, I said it on the show. I don't think it was the location. It's the person, right? It's the person that you should always pursue. But I think the ironic thing is, like, I think if we had have had the experience and then the show not aired, yeah, I don't know. But then it's like, we wouldn't have met each other if the show didn't air. But that's the thing, you know, I guess you can look back at it retrospectively, right? And you can go, like, it was a little bit of a bubble. It was a bubble. And I think we did our best to be aware of that. And then, in addition, work out ways to make it better. But it doesn't always work like that. And so we've actually been broken up for, like, I would say 4 weeks, maybe 5. But obviously the first night that you do it, you're not going to be like, that's it, this is the breakup post. So we let you guys know a little bit later down the track. And we are still living together. Not over this Christmas break. We're both doing stuff, so we got a month away from each other. But then I think when I come back, I'm going to be looking to move out. But, and I think what was really cool, because it was hard, like, you go through the 7 stages of grief, right? And it's just, yeah, it's so hard. But then we would also have these really moments where we would talk about things just out of nowhere. And I think it helped us confirm why we broke up in the first place. But this last week before we made that post, it was really good. And the energy in the house was the energy when we first met. That's a perfect way to put a little ribbon in it, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of just like saying whatever's coming to my mind here. So I appreciate you guys just bearing with that. But yeah, as I mentioned, I think Tahnee has got some great qualities, and I have, so much respect for her. And of course, I still have love for Tahnee, but I think just honestly, like at our core, we are just really different. We're just really, really different. And that's not just in likes and hobbies. It's not just in values. It's not just in how we navigate issues, but it's just like at our core, like our wants, our beliefs. And I think as we spent more and more time together and dug deeper and deeper into each other, I think we realized that that's okay. That's life. I'm genuinely excited to see what Tahnee does next. I think she is such a talent. Nobody works harder. And I think the work that she does is something that she should be really proud of too. Unlike me, and whatever this is. Look, I might wrap it up there. I want to say thank you to you guys being so understanding, because it does feel at times that there's a pressure and a responsibility. I think it's something that I've always tried to act like it isn't there, but of course you feel it to a certain extent. Yeah, it's just been so nice to see people understanding that it doesn't always work out, and that is okay. And then I also want to say thank you to Tahnee. We really tried to build something, and I think that we can look back at that and be so proud that we turned over every rock in the pursuit of love. And that sounds wanky as hell as well, but I mean that. I genuinely mean that. So Tahnee, if you are listening, and I know you are, thank you. Okay, well, that's it from me. It's going to be back to our regular scheduled programming this week, with Nakia and Georgia from Love Island are actually going to be on here, which obviously that is wrapping up tonight. So that's really exciting. It was a really fun episode. What you see is what you get with those two. And we chatted a lot of tripe. They filled me in on a lot of questions that I think potentially you guys might have as well. So that one comes out on Thursday. Until then,